and let's just have everybody stand up and come up, okay? And I've also seen people that do a lot of circles and squares and so on. It really doesn't make any difference which one you do, because long story short, they're not going to understand it anyway when you do your very first meeting, by the way. They're not going to understand it until they get around and, you know, filling out their very first paperwork and putting the percentages to it and having to get out their checkbook, okay? So in the marketing plan, say a little, say a lot, but just make sure it's 25% here, 75% is on the testimonials. And after that, you stop talking, okay? Because one of the things I've seen with people is, you know, they feel like they got to just keep going on and on and on, right? And then after the meeting's over, then that's really bad. As the supervisor, they try to do a whole meeting all over again. You know what I mean? It's time to stop at a certain point. We just got to tell the products, marketing, testimonials, marketing plan, testimonials. You want to do this or not? Okay? Then the next day, get lots more people in. Okay? Got to make it quick. Okay? Because what your goal is to talk to as many people as you can, so you can get your 2 hot people to start working downline. So understand that the audience is the most important. Okay? And that's what makes the meeting sizzle, and that's what makes the meeting go, okay? So I'll just do a short opportunity meeting here, and we'll do some stand up and sit down and see how this thing works. Because how many of you are going to opportunity meetings? Everybody, okay. So this is important. You're now realizing that you are doing the biggest part of the meeting, okay? I'm just up here saying a couple of things. Now listen, the name of our company is Herbalife, and it's an incredible business. And it was all started by this young guy named Mark Hughes, who had an unfortunate thing that happened with his mom. She died from a prescription overdose trying to lose weight on medicines. And Mark Hughes decided he was going to dedicate his life to nutrition and helping people lose weight in a safe and natural way. And he was one of the first people that got in on the whole concept of herbs and proteins and vitamins and everything. And what we have up here is a line of nutritional products that make you lose weight like crazy. It's just unbelievable. You just drink the shakes a couple times a day, and you take the tablets 3 times a day. It takes all the weight off. You get lots of energy, and it's just unbelievable. We also have an incredible fine line of skincare products that make your face just absolutely beautiful, and you'll see that here today. And rather than taking up all the time of the meeting and telling you everything about the products, why don't we just hear about some of the people who have been using them? So let's have everybody in the room that's lost 5 kilos or more stand up. Great. Okay. That was not very exciting. I was hoping that this would be a little bit more exciting than your average Amway meeting. Okay, so we got to rev it up. So let's sit down again. We're going to try it over. Remember that your guests have only got the ability of getting 25% as excited about this as you do. So if we stand everybody up and you're going, your guest, you know what's happening with them. You know? No, we need to be excited about what's going on, okay? So and rather than saying everything about the product here, let's just hear from the people that have lost weight on the product. So everybody that's lost 5 kilos or more, let's stand up. Whoa! Woo! Look at this! Unbelievable! Oh, this is great! Okay, let's go 10 kilos or more, keep standing. Wow! Look at this! Okay, 15 kilos, keep standing. Wow! This is amazing! 20 kilos or more! Whoa! 25 kilos! Come on out! No. Isn't that more exciting than... You see? And when you're doing your opportunity meeting, everything needs to build. 5 pounds needs to be unbelievable. 10 pounds needs to be screaming and clapping and going crazy. 15 pounds, everybody's just, the whole place is, ah! At 20 kilos, everybody's unbelievable, okay? You see, it builds. It builds as it goes. Okay, then you basically do the same thing with the incomes. The only thing that you want to make sure is that what you do is when you're doing your op meeting, you know, you want to stop at a low enough figure, okay, probably 3 or 4 million won, okay, so that you can fill the stage up over here with a long line of people, okay, and stack the 3 million won people up at the front and have 5 or 6 of those go by, okay, because it's important not to just end up with the top guys. Because the people that are there for the first time, they're not going to be able to relate to the millionaires. What they're going to be able to relate to is those people that are making part-time money of $3,000 or $4,000. Unbelievable, this is incredible, okay? Or they quit their jobs and so on, okay? So you stack the front of the room with a few 3 or 4 million wons, and then you say, okay, now we can't hear from everybody, so let's go 5 million, 6 million, 10 million. Now you take a couple of the 10 millions, okay, and you get that out of the way, and then you say, okay, let's go up to 15 million, 20 million, and you end up with the big president's team guys at the end, okay? Very important. You want the small incomes, the middle incomes, and then the big, huge ones at the end, okay? That way you get everybody in the room, okay? That way you'll have had all the backgrounds, all the different kind of incomes, all the different kind of personalities, all the different kind of situations, okay, so that you affect the whole room, okay, because the whole room is not going to get it by one person. The more eyes, the more mouths, the better, okay? The person that's given the op meeting just there to instruct people to come up on the stage and give the meeting. Now, while we're talking about the opportunity meetings, write this down. Your story is worth a fortune. And you need how to learn how to tell your testimonial. Okay? Your testimonial always needs to be your name. Make sure that you tell that background. A lot of times people get so excited, okay, that they just say their name and they'll say how much weight they lost, and then they forget about the money and they forget about what kind of business they were in, okay? We got to get it all in there, because if you're a housewife, it's extremely important that you say housewife, because there's 50 other housewives out there that can relate to you. If you're a doctor, it's important you say a doctor, because there's maybe 2 or 3 more doctors in the audience. So we need to say our name, our background, what happened to us on the product, and then it's always good if you've got like a first month's income and then last month's income. That lets them know that, hey, you know, if they're just brand, because that's not so much for the new guy sitting in the chair, but it's for also the guys that have been in the company a couple of months. That gives them the confidence, hey, you know, I don't feel so bad that I only made 100,000 won my first month, because maybe it'll be 500 like them, and then maybe $1 million next month, okay? Because remember, when you're doing your opportunity meetings, you're selling your guests, you're selling your distributors, and you're selling yourself. You know what I mean? Because when you're doing it, you got to be up there believing in what you're saying. So your story is worth a fortune. Now, what's important about your story is you can always do things very slow in Herbalife, okay? But the faster the story is, the more quickly people will be attracted to being around you and the business. In other words, let's say your story is, I used to milk cows, okay? And I got onto the products and I needed to lose 50 kilos, okay? And I've now lost those 50 kilos after 3 years. And I feel really, really excited about it because my first month's income was 100,001, and now after 3 years here, I'm up to 1 million won. Okay? Now, could you recruit somebody with that story? Yeah, you could do it. You'd probably have to have the Herbalife journal with you, though, to say, listen, you know, I didn't have such great results, but let me tell you, a lot of other people have had great results, and they go through the journal and show them the stories, and then when you get the President's Team journal, you even show them more stories, and you say, so, you know, I was pretty lazy about the deal, to be perfectly honest with you, but maybe you want to do it fast like some of these other guys, and you show them the stories, and that's a way of getting them in. Okay? Now, I didn't have that luxury when I got in because I was what everybody was looking at. So I had to have everything happen great to me. I had to have the most guests at the meeting. I had to sign up the most people at the meeting. I had to break the most supervisors. I had to have the biggest volume of the month. I had to have the biggest check of everybody because I was the testimonial that was building the company. Okay? I had to have my weight perfect. I had to have everything done perfectly because that was what set the standard for what people would look at for how they would go. But if your story is, hey, I used to milk cows for a living, and I used to be fat, and I had 35 kilos that I needed to lose, and I lost that kilos in 2 months. It was just absolutely incredible. And the first month I made 100,000 won in the company, and I've been in the company now for 3 years, and last month the company paid me 240,000 US dollars. Now, do you think you could recruit someone with that story? Of course. See, fast is better. Okay? Fast is better. Now, it doesn't, this is obviously the Kim story. This is a remarkable story. There's only a few people in the company that have this kind of story, okay? So it doesn't need to be this dramatic, okay? All I'm saying is that you have to be responsible for, when you start saying that the company's unbelievable, you got to start becoming unbelievable, okay? When you say these products are magnificent, you got to start taking the products so you look magnificent, okay? In other words, if you started out and you needed to lose 50 kilos and you lost 25 kilos and you've been 25 kilos overweight for the last year, you got a big problem on your hand. Because as you go back to your customers and you're trying to tell them, keep using the products, keep using the products, keep using the products, but you're the same 25 pounds overweight that you've been for the last year, do you think you're going to get very many reorders? No. And guess what happens? You start to not get button hits. Everything starts to become gloom and doom. But I guarantee you, you take that same person that needs to lose that last 25 pounds and you get them to lose 10 pounds this next week, and I'll guarantee you, you'll see a new person. They'll have all of a sudden lots of new customers. They'll get back to all their old customers and get them back onto the product. Everything will start seeming magical. And it's the same thing with the business. If you're going to say this is the most outrageous business opportunity that's ever been put together, I'm going to get rich, you're going to get rich, then you got to match the pitch with your check. And that doesn't mean it has to go from 0 to $2 million in a couple of years. All it means is you got to start making some progress every month. Let's go 100,000 won the first month, and let's go 500,000, and then let's go to $1 million, and then maybe it's $1.5 million, and then maybe it goes to 2 million, and then maybe it goes to 2.5, and et cetera, et cetera. So that as you're telling the story, okay, that this is unbelievable, and we're going to get to the top, and it's just absolutely a miracle, and you look like the pitch, okay, your face is smooth from the skincare products, your weight is in order, okay, and then your check starts to match the presentation, okay, because what your people look at is they look at you, okay. Yeah, they're going to look at those stories in the journal, okay, but if they're looking at you and you are on the move, you see, people like going around people that are on the move. They want to be people that are happening. And if you're happening, your people will be happening. You see what I'm saying? And so if you're going fast and you're happening and you're bringing lots of people down to the meeting, then they're bringing people down to the meeting. And that means they're breaking supervisors and everything's starting to go. And if your check's going on the rise, now all of a sudden you got new clothes. You got new clothes, your people get excited. Then they start working hard enough that they get new clothes. I saw this happen with me. It was just amazing. I remember we're like in business like 5 months, right? And the picture I showed earlier, that was my only suit that I had, right? And after 5 months, I was able to get a black velvet jacket, okay? I'll never forget this, right? And it was just, we looked like some kind of weird outfit back then because everybody in Herbalife had a black velvet jacket, right? It was like our uniform, right? It was unbelievable. Black velvet jacket and red tie, right? And the little black pants, okay? And but then I got that and my people got that. I got my very first car. I was driving around in a purple Toyota when I started the company. I had no taste. Who would get a purple Toyota? You know what I'm saying? Any kind of Toyota, but not purple, you know what I mean? And anyway, after about 8 months or so, I was able to get my first Cadillac. Now, I'll never forget driving that up to the office, man, and getting all my team. I said, Jerry and Doug and Hal, come on out here. You got to see this new car, man. And I put them in the front seat, and I said, get behind the steering wheel, and, you know, and play with it and toot the horn, baby. I said, we're all going to get rich. You guys are going to be having these cars. And a few months from then, they were getting Cadillacs. Then I remember I got my very first Rolls Royce. Oh, man. Oh, it was something. I never forget it, man. It was just so cool because, you know, for those of you that don't know my story, I sponsored 196 people first line in 6 months. 16 of those become supervisors. 10 of them ended up on the president's team. And I made $96,000 my first year, $500,000 my second year, almost $2 million the third year, and then after that, it got just unbelievable. Okay, but by 25 years old, I was driving around with my brand new Rolls Royce. Man, it was just unbelievable. And then, you know, pretty soon my people started getting Mercedes Benzes, and then I remember I got my first little condominium, and then they started getting condominiums, and I got my first house, and then they started getting their houses, and then I got my first mansion, and some of my people started getting their mansions and stuff. See, so as the more you go, the more your people go. You know what I'm saying? And I never forget, and this happens all the time. It never stops. It never stops, okay? And I'll never forget, I dragged all my Chairman's Club members onto my yacht here back in a few months ago, and we went to Hotel du Cap. And John Peterson was on the boat there, and he says, he's looking at my helicopter that's on the back of the boat. There's only one helicopter like the one I've got, 600 Boeing. And he's looking at the helicopter, and I said, so what are you staring at the helicopter so much about, John? He says, oh man, I would love to have one of these helicopters. I said, well, John, get into my helicopter. Okay, I said, get into the seat in there and see what it feels like. And I put my captain in there to give him a big ride. And I said, now listen, you give John a real good ride, man, because he's in for getting himself a helicopter. Anyway, he got off the boat, and next thing you know, a week from then, he got his brand new helicopter. Okay? So it's been very interesting because see, you guys look at me different than my people did in the beginning. You know, you're all rushing up here and you want the autographs and the this and that. You don't see me like Jerry does when we were back there in the beginning when I only had my one suit to my name and nobody was asking for autographs, and we had to hold up a laugh sign and clap sign at the meetings to get everybody going. And you know, I was driving around in my ugly Toyota, and she saw me there making up the first orders for the customers and the first orders for my distributors and stuff like that. And we kind of all grew together, you know what I'm saying? And that's what can happen with you and your team. And just realize, okay, that you don't have to be this to be successful, but the more you can be the leader of the team by bringing the most amount of people to the meeting, by signing up the most people, by getting the most supervisors, by getting the most people on the product, by looking the most best that you possibly can on your face and your weight and stuff like that. The more that people know you're on the move, the more people that will want to follow you. Okay? So if it's happening fast for you, it starts to happen fast for some of your people because they want to become like you. And trust me, they're looking at you guys a lot more than they're looking at me. Okay? So your story is worth a fortune. And of course, building it fast is better than slow. That doesn't mean that there's a problem with you becoming a president's team member 17 years from now. 2 months ago, there was people that got in 17 years ago and just got onto the president's team. Is that great? Yes. Of course it's great. Of course it's great, because what it did was it gave the people that have been hanging around for 17 years, that are only on the get team, some confidence about maybe they'll get to the president's team. So we use all the stories. I'm just trying to say fast is better than slow. Now, let me talk to you about what do we do with our distributors once we get them in the company. Because far too often a person makes the mistake of, okay, you've signed up, here's the meetings, bring everybody down, and we'll recruit them all in the company for you, and the checks will start coming in the mail. Will that work? Yeah. Now, I know lots of people that that's what they do, okay? But see, me personally, I like to have a little bit more control over the situation, okay, to make the person go fast. See, it's not that you can't just say, come to the meeting, bring the people, the check will be in the mail, okay? That'll work, okay? But the question is, how good does it work, how fast does it work, and how much success do your people have quickly? So what I like to do is this. I'm sponsoring my 10 people a month until I get 2 hot people. Now, if for some reason it takes you 15 people to get 2 hot people, get 15. If it only takes you 5 people to get two, get 5, okay? And the only reason I'm kind of keying in on 2 hot people, it's just a little bit difficult if you want some quality to try to do 4 and 5 people at a time and stuff like that. It's not that it's impossible, but if you're really trying to build these people to make certain that they're self-sufficient, so you don't really have to do a lot with them anymore, you really want to do a lot with them and spend some time, okay? And here's what I do, okay? Now the opportunity meeting. Now, by the way, what I'm going to explain to you right now, there's a couple of big things I've explained to you that are important. Number 1, the products were the most important for me in my success. Number 2 was keeping everything fun, simple, easy, magical, okay? The next one was sticking to the plan of daily method of operation of getting 10 in the business. This next one is one of my biggest key points of my success. So listen into this. I know we've been here a while and we're getting close to the end of the day, but this is one of my biggest things that made me so successful, okay? I was always very concerned with how good my people have been and how good they do. And that just didn't happen from the first month. That's still happening today, okay? But I was very concerned the very first 72 hours. Now, there's not something a miracle about that number, but here's the reason why that amount of time is so important. They just got done with the opportunity meeting. And remember, you stacked the first 8 or 10 testimonials with the $3,000 housewife, truck driver, auto mechanic stories, okay? And now your person sitting out there goes, wow, if that housewife can make $3,000, maybe I can make $3,000, okay? Now, when they get home and they start to explain this to their spouse, guess what happens? The spouse is either very excited or extremely negative, okay? And starts putting that little housewife down, bad housewife, crazy woman, lunatic with powders and tablets, okay? So that's where the sponsor comes in, okay? And so what I do is immediately the next day we're going to meet and we're going to go to the career book and we're going to make up who do you know of everybody that wants to get on the products, and who do you know of everybody that wants to get out to the business? So the first thing I do is I tell this person what they're supposed to do, which is to make up the list. Then the next thing I go out and do is I show them how to do the presentations. So for instance with Jerry, I said, now Jerry, who are these out of these people do you want to get on the products? And they said, well, these people here. And I said, well, who do you want to get on the business? They said, these people here. I said, okay, Jerry, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some time out of my day to make some of these presentations for you. Okay, write that down. I'm going to do the presentations for you. You can't believe how much relieved Jerry was from me saying that, okay? She was excited about the business. She wanted to do the business, but yet she had never done anything like this, so she was scared to death, okay? So when I said I would do some of these presentations for her, it was like, wow, he's going to help me out here, okay? Now I said, now why I'm doing these presentations, Jerry, the important thing is you better listen to what I say. Because after 4 or 5 of these, I'm going to make you do a part of the presentation on your own. I'll do a part, then you do a part. And then we'll keep doing that until you know how to do it on your own. So what me and Jerry did is we went out there and we started talking to people. And the first couple of customers, I did all the presentations. And just fortunately, those people got onto the products and she got real excited. Then I said, okay, Jerry, on these next set of, we had a party plan that we did that next night. And I said, Jerry, this next part, you're going to discuss about the products and how to take them. I'm going to talk a little bit about the nutritional value of them. And I'm going to tell a story of 16-pound weight loss because she didn't have weight loss yet. It was her second day in the company, okay? Then we started going for the recruiting, okay? And I did a couple of presentations with the recruiting. After a couple of presentations with the recruiting, I said, okay, on these next presentations, Jerry, you're going to do the products, I'm going to do the marketing plan. We did 5 or 6 of those. After that, I said, I'm going to do the products, you're going to do the marketing plan, and we did 5 or 6 of those. Then after that, I said, Jerry, you got to do it on your own. I'll just sit by on the sidelines and be there for the testimonial and so on. Because here's what you want your people to do. You want to tell them what to do, then you want to go show them how to do it by helping them out. Then you want them to try it, and they're not going to do it perfect when they try it the first time. And after they mess it all up, okay, here's what you got to do. Okay, this is very important. Write this down. You did great, no matter how bad they did. Listen, Jerry, you did just great, okay? But I just want to tell you a couple of things of why I do what I do, because when you do it this way, it works better. But don't worry, man, you're doing great. It's just unbelievable. This next presentation is going to be better. Now let's do it again. She does it again. Now she's only got a few things she's messed up. And I said, Jerry, that was just really unbelievable. Man, I can't believe you increased by 50% how good you were. That's better than the average person. Now just change this and change that, and it's even going to be better. The next time she does it perfect. The next time she signs someone up. The next time she signs up another person. I say, now, Jerry, you're on your own. You now know how to do the presentation. You know how to get people involved in the business. You know how to get people into the company. And you want to go through all those steps so that you have someone that does it on their own so that you can do what? The most important job that you got to do in Herbalife, which is to get back to talking to 10 people a day so you can get another 2 hot people so you can do the whole thing all over again. So that during the year, you get yourself 2 hot people a month, which is going to get you your 24 supervisors, and out of your customer base, it's going to get you your 30 supervisors. And if you do that 2 years in a row, you're going to be on the president's team. And as you've heard from most of the people down here in the audience, okay, they've had far less people join than 60 supervisors and have had far more success than 100,000 a year. Okay? So you can do it another way, but I'm just saying this is the way to do it the fastest. People want to know you intimately. They want your help and guidance. You want to care more about how much they make than you make, because the more they make, the more you're going to make. Okay? Now, while you're doing this, okay, here's something that's very important. This is you. When I'm working with my distributor, I want to go down line, okay, and work with my different levels, okay? I want to work down line with my different levels, okay? So let's take this, for instance, as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels, okay? And the reason I like to work down line like this is that if I have people down here on the bottom successful, and they're doing volume, let's say this person down here is doing 3,000 volume, then number 5 has to do 2,500 points a month just to get their royalties. And number 4 has to do 2,500 just to get their royalties on that person. And number 3 has to do 2,500 so that they can get their royalties. And number 2 has to do 2,500 so they can get their royalties. And then your first line's got to do 2,500 so they can get their royalties. And so the exciting thing about this is when you sponsor first line, okay, and I know that's where you're primarily getting everything, but I like to secondary sponsor, third sponsor, fourth sponsor, fifth sponsor, so that I have a whole line of people that are doing the business, that are producing volume, because that means that if your 4th, 5th, and 6th level is producing volume, your 1st, 2nd, 3rd has to do volume. And that's what builds your royalty override check. Okay? And that's what I like to call guaranteed income. You've got a well-trained group all the way down with everybody producing, and that means your 3 levels are going to have to produce. The worst thing that could happen is these people drop out and this one comes up. Okay? So this is just an unbelievable thing, but you know, this is called the guaranteed income, where you can have your first 3 levels producing, and you start doing that wide, and pretty soon you'll be on the GET team, pretty soon you'll be on the millionaire team, pretty soon you'll be on the president's team. Okay, we've talked about a lot of things, okay, but the most important things, in my opinion, is that the products are the most important, no question about it. If you always keep the attention that the products are the most important, it does a lot of things, okay? One is, it is the reason why we're becoming so successful. I used to do other things before Herbalife, okay? And I was very good at the things that I did. But I didn't have Herbalife products, okay? And I didn't have the Herbalife marketing plan, okay? So for me, this has been very different than what I used to do, okay? And because the products I was involved in were good, but they weren't near as good as what I had in Herbalife. The marketing plan was okay, but it wasn't anything like our marketing plan. So I really appreciate, okay, the products and the marketing plan and what it does. If you keep the focus that the product is the attention, and that's why we're doing all so good, your ego won't get completely out of control, okay? And that's a good thing to have happen. It's great to have a good ego, but it's not so good that you get so caught up with yourself, okay, that it just runs totally out of control, and you're the star of the show, and nobody can relate to you, and you're not bringing more people up, and you're not getting as many eyes to see, and we can't forget the fact that there's a whole lot of things that are making this Herbalife thing happen. Okay, between the products and between the marketing plan and between the way our people have such just an absolute mission of where they want to go with this company. The fact that we're in lots of businesses and lots of countries has something to do with it. It has something to do with the dedication of our employees. It's amazing the way some of our people work. You could never have this happen where, like here in Korea, where the employees have stayed up for 24 hours and 36 hours at a time to make sure that the orders get processed. And back at the home office, we got a rule that never can a payment to a distributor go out over time. You know, and sometimes the orders are late and the computers are got to run, but Bruce and his guys keep those guys in there sometimes 26, 36, 48 hours, because we got a rule that checks got to go out on time. So you gotta give a lot of loyalty, okay, to yourself, okay, no question about it. I'm not trying to take away from anybody. You guys are working hard like crazy. You're doing an amazing job. But at the same time, we got to give a lot of loyalty to the company, okay, for what it's doing, for its commitment, for its loyalty to what you guys are doing and what we're trying to get accomplished. And if we don't forget that, we can get off track. I want to talk about real quickly the job of a sponsor. It's your job to help the person along, to help them start their business, and to push them more than they would push themselves, and to give them confidence that this is going to work. Because I'm telling you something, there's so many people after they leave our meeting that give negativity to some of our people, okay? That tell them you're crazy for doing this. I can't believe you've been a pharmacist and now you're selling powders and pills for some ridiculous company called Herbalife. And there's lots of people that are more than ready and willing to be negative to the people that are all jacked up at the meeting, and then they get home to get nothing but beat up by their relatives until their check gets up there. And that's why you guys as sponsors become so important, and that's why the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday concept is so important, because you can be around people all the time, 3 times a week, that are positive, that are on their way, that are on their move to going up the ladder to the Herbalife stepway. And so I hope you take that, my little analysis way of saying it here, as a way of taking your distributors and making them feel good and making them do more than they can believe in themselves. And I'll tell you, if you can just get this concept, and it's hard to get, if you care more about your distributors making money than you're making money yourself, you're on your way. Because if your people make money, you're guaranteed to get rich. And that's how I've always operated my business. Everything I can think of, every night and day, to make you guys money is what I'm thinking about. All the time. So listen, I've just had an incredible time here coming to Korea. And you know, in closing here today, I'd just like to say that the last couple of words, over all the things that we've taught you, the most important thing that I could say is, if you keep to the plan that we've talked about here of keeping the business simple and keeping the product simple, using mostly the testimonials, keeping your opportunity meetings simple, keeping the business part of it simple, and doing 10 people a day to get 2 people to work down line with them. Help your people, just don't leave them alone, send them off to the meetings. Those are the most important thing. Besides that, it's going to be consistency, doing this day after day after day, okay? You're going to have some good days, and you're going to have some unbelievable days, okay? And going through the bad days are just as important as going through the good days, okay? It makes you a stronger person. It makes you more of a better person to get through the times that are rough in your life, not just with Herbalife, but your own personal life. And the last thing is just having faith in the company. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in the products. Have faith in us, because we're going to do the most unbelievable things you've ever seen in business history, okay? And the way I kind of see Herbalife someday in the future, okay, is kind of like, if you can imagine coffee and tea, okay, of hundreds and hundreds of years ago, okay? Nobody really thought coffee was going to be that big a deal and stuff like that. But today, what's the deal, okay? Even if you don't drink coffee, you have to have coffee in your house. And the reason you have to have coffee in your house is you want to be a good host, so that when people come over and say, well, what would you like to drink? They would say, well, I'd like to have some coffee. And it's kind of the way I see Herbalife. We're not that big yet, but someday when we get huge, you have to have Herbalife in your house. Because you have to be a proper host, right? They might say, Well, I want an Herbalife shake. And you'll have to have the product in your house whether you're taking it or not. That'd be incredible. So it's just been an incredible day of training, and we want all of you to be back at the home office. And when you go through the home office, there's no question we're going to drag you from the GET team to the millionaire team to the president's team. And as fast as you guys are growing, okay, everybody in the entire stadium could be on the president's team. Well, now wouldn't that be amazing, okay? Of everybody, the whole stadium, all the way in the back of the room, everybody became president's team members. We're gonna get rich! Listen, I hope you guys have had a great time. Let's make this world a better place for people to live in. Welcome to Herbalife!